a pleasant summer afternoon a few years back, I set sail from the Berkeley Marina with my two sons and a couple of my older son's college friends. He was a student at Berkeley at the time. Our boat carries the name Insouciance, which is a story in itself, too long to tell now, except to say the word insouciance carries a tone of nonchalance, especially as to the impression left on others. I took the name from an old Imogen Cunningham photograph I had once seen in an exhibition. In brief, it's all about the way we try to sail the boat, carefree, but I digress. Our 27-foot boat generally keeps the crew dry, except in the windiest weather, but it's still small enough to enable the crew to feel the bumps and lumps which characterize the waters of San Francisco Bay in the summer. So conditions were typical, even if our day would not be. It was windy and choppy, and the boat was heeled well over as we approached the Berkeley Pier and prepared to change course to stay well away from the pier. But this was not to be a casual afternoon sail on Insouciance. As we came closer to the Berkeley Pier, we began to hear faint shouts from a small crowd of people who were walking on the pier, and we could notice them seemingly pointing to a particular location in the water. But nothing else seemed unusual to us, and I assumed that there was perhaps a fishing line or crab net in the water that we were being warned away from interfering with. As we continued on course for a few more minutes, it suddenly became very clear what was causing so much excitement on the Berkeley Pier. Someone was in the water off the pier. We quickly sailed towards the person, assuming that he was a windsurfer who had fallen off his sailboard and was in the process of righting himself and sailing on. Not an unusual situation. So as we came within shouting distance of the person, I shouted, "Do you need a hand?" fully expecting to see him lift himself back on his sailboard and wave as he sailed away. Instead, his immediate answer was, "For Christ's sake, do I need a hand? I'm drowning, get me out of here." I quickly tossed the guy a floating seat cushion, immediately shouted commands to my sons to drop our sails, and sent the novice crew below decks so we could concentrate on the task at hand, safely starting our engine and maneuvering the boat around to approach the person in the water without coming too near him with a spinning propeller. After what must have seemed to the victim an eternity, we were alongside him, and he was barely hanging on to the rope ladder we had deployed. Then began the even more difficult tasks of hauling a cold, wet, and exhausted sailor out of the cold and choppy bay. No simple matter, as our deck is some 3 to 4 feet above the water surface. Fortunately, my older son had been working on getting buff, as young men his age are wont to do. He was able, after several tries, to get a strong arm around the exhausted sailor and pull him out of the water and over the gunwales to safety. The dripping wet sailor expressed his thanks through chattering teeth, and we sent him below, where we loaned him some dry clothes and tried to warm him up. But the afternoon's adventure wasn't over yet. Our just rescued and now dry passenger immediately came up on deck to ask, "Can we go get my boat now?" I replied, "What boat?" As it turned out, he had ended up in the water when his tiller broke, leaving behind on his quite small sailboat his lone and now terrified crew member, who had never before sailed and probably wouldn't ever again, and who had no idea what to do as the boat sailed off on its own towards a nearby rocky shore. We quickly swung our boat around, put the throttle full forward, and caught up with the small boat, finding the crew members sitting absolutely motionless, locked in fear, and very glad to see us. Soon we had the little boat under tow back to the marina, where we delivered the still cold but appreciative skipper and his ashen white crew member and their boat to a nearby dock. We headed back out of the marina for our sail, feeling satisfied that we had been able to remember and use the many principles drilled into us in the classroom and on the water sessions that were part of our man overboard training, all in a pleasant afternoon sail, but definitely not a typical afternoon.